You call me out upon the waters, the great unknown, where feet may fail. And there I find you in the mystery, in oceans deep, my faith will stand. Keep my eyes above the waves. When oceans rise, my soul will rest in your embrace. For I am yours, you are abounds in deepest waters. Your sovereign hand will be my guide. Where feet may fail and fear surrounds me, you've never failed, and you won't stop now. So Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me. Take me deeper than my feet could ever wander, and my faith will be made stronger in the presence of my Savior. Spirit, lead me where my trust is without borders. Let me walk upon the waters, wherever you would call me.
One of the strongest, bravest people that I know.
Charlie has the work ethic of no one I have ever met in my life. I don't think it can be understated, the impact that he had.
One of the greatest communicators of the generation.
He was more than just somebody who would comment on the news.
He genuinely respected and genuinely loved, in a Christian manner, the people on the other side of the table. He didn't hate anybody.
He would give the shirt off a back to help someone that was in need, regardless of their political stripe.
His ideas were about faith, family, freedom.
This young man with an idea that became a movement.
What he built is part of his legacy, but also part of that legacy, more importantly, is a husband and a father.
Irreplaceable. He was irreplaceable.
He's a one of one.
Right? Charlie Kirk was at the tip of the spear, never flinched, never backed off.
He wanted that back and forth, but not out of anger, not out of a place of he wanted to humiliate them or embarrass them or something like that, because he wanted to actually try to communicate with them.
He went into the belly of the beast, he went on these college campuses, and he evangelized.
This man who had a life force that was so much bigger than himself.
If everything completely goes away, how do you want to be remembered?
I want to be remembered for courage for my faith. That would be the most important thing. Most important thing is my faith.
I hope that the story of Turning Point USA, again, we started with no money, no connections, and no idea what I was doing, resonates with some of you.
It's a nonprofit called Turning Point USA.
To despair is a sin. And some people say, oh, Charlie, you know, it's too hard. It's too overwhelming. It's too dark. Snap out of it. You still live in the greatest nation ever to exist in the history of the world. There is still so much to be hopeful and to be thankful for. And we have agency. The globalists are worried that you are waking up. They're worried that their fraud and their nonsense is finally being exposed, and you are at the central nerve of all of that. Ask God how to use you. Find a place to plug in. I am thankful for you. We had a vision because we love the country. Push yourself harder. Here I am. Lord, use me.
You guys might remember a year ago, I gave the whole speech of here I am, Lord, send me. And it was kind of this joke that we had as soon as I gave that message.
I remember him getting off stage and I say, honey, do you realize what you just did? He's like, yeah, I just, and I was like, no. You said, here I am. That is a very powerful statement. And God's like, I see you. Charlie is so obedient to God, to the word of God. And it's been so humbling to witness the way that God has used him this year, because he made that declaration a year ago, saying, here I am, I'm ready. Wherever you need me to be, Lord, I'll be, and I'm your servant. Just put me out there in the thick of it.
You see, they wanted us to be quiet and afraid and silent and subservient. They wanted us to cower into our corner. But the conservative movement has changed fundamentally. I hope you guys understand this. This is the greatest country ever to exist in the history of the world. And I can say, wow, there was a debate. Is God done with this country? And now I can say confidently, no. God is not done with America.
My name is Erica Kirk. Charlie Kirk is my husband. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. But most of all, Charlie loved his children, and he loved me with all of his heart. And I knew that. Every day I knew that. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife.
Oh, Charlie, you didn't deserve it. May God bless your family.
The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry.
People across the country are gathering, holding memorial services and vigils to honor Charlie Kirk's memory and his message.
To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. I promise I will never let your legacy die. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. Rest in the arms of our Lord as He blankets you with the words I know your heart always strives to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant.
Charlie, you put all this together, my man. Let's hear it.
I am just humbled by God. That's all I can say. It's done. I want you to remember that we did not earn this. This is God's mercy on our country. How could you believe in God after this? It's a very important question. I don't want to be immediately dismissive. So let's first go to what we as Christians or Jews, but what ethical monotheists, we have the problem of evil. Atheists have evil no problem. You see, on the atheist side, they can't say that evil actually exists because without God, if God does not exist, then we are nothing more than just a clump of cells, and there is no such thing as evil. You only know something is evil if you have good to compare it to. You only know something is right because you have a standard of right. For example, if I have a piece of paper and I draw a crooked line. So let's just see here. I wish I had a Sharpie here. Maybe I do. Yeah, I do. And I have a crooked line. Okay, here's my crooked line. How great is that? Put it in the Louvre. How do you know this line is crooked? How do you know? It was just a line, right? But you immediately look at it, you say, that's a crooked, squiggly line. Only because in your mind, you know what a straight line is. So because there you see a crooked line, you're immediately comparing it to the contrast of a perfect straight line. The same happens in morality and ethics. We only know that something is evil and wrong because we have a transcendent standard to compare it to. If you do not believe in God, it is not right and wrong. It's nothing more than preferences. Now, in my theology, I believe that you're able to choose. Other Christians do not have the belief as much in free will. They sort of do. It's hotly debated. I do believe that we have agency. We have the ability to choose. We have free will. And that individual woke up with the free will and used that free will to murder 2 kids. That's evil. And we know it's evil because we are appealing towards a transcendent truth standard. And this is a principle also shared by Jews and Christians alike. But also understand this, and I got this from Dennis Prager. We as Christians or Jews, we have to explain the problem of evil. We also have to explain natural disasters. That's a toughie. Atheists, they have to explain everything else. If you are out there and you look at this and you are angry and you are mad and you are upset at this horrific act of evil, I would just say, how do you know it's evil? By what standard do you know is it evil? And you know it because you're appealing to Christian ethics or Jewish ethics or Judeo-Christian ethics in that regard. Secondly, the atheist has to explain everything else around us. They have to explain life. They have to explain the longest sentence ever recorded, which is DNA. They have to explain the fine-tuning of the universe. They have to explain why the earth exists. They have to explain physics. They have to explain the laws of reason. They have to explain the law of thermodynamics. They have to explain it all, and they have to say, oh, it's all just an act of randomness.
Oh, for over 10 plus years, I identified as a gay man, and then I gave my life to Jesus and left the LGBTQ plus community. And my question to you is, what is your response to those who say that conservatives and God hates everyone in the LGBTQ plus community?
Well, I think it'd actually be better for you to respond to that because you've received it and you're no longer of that. Here's the true but more provocative answer. That your identity should not be in your sexual proclivity. It should actually be, your identity is much greater than just what you do in the bedroom. Being gay is a behavior more than anything else. And you, I guess, are evidence, and I'd love to hear your story, that you could stop acting on that behavior. So tell the audience more about, you would identify as gay and as not. Tell us about that path and that journey, because I'm told that can never happen.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people tell me that you are what you feel. You are your attractions. You know, you're quote unquote born with it. You know, there's just many reasons why you have same-sex attraction that will never leave you, and that is who you will always be. And I believe that lie for almost 10 plus years of my life. I slept with men many times, watched a lot of porn, dwelt in a lot of sexual sin, and just gave my body up because that's what I thought love was. And that's what I thought it looked like until I met Jesus. And he helped me to see that I was never meant to identify as a gay man, but I was always meant to be a son of his and have a new identity and a new life in him. And I walked away from that lifestyle for over 5+ years now, and I have never looked back because Jesus is way better than the sexuality that I was partaking in.
Praise God. Are you happier and more joyful that you're no longer participating in a homosexual lifestyle?
Oh, 100%. Like before I met Jesus, I was filled with so much depression, anxiety. I wanted to kill myself multiple days of the week, but Jesus came and healed all the brokenness inside of me, and I love being a son of his rather than identifying as a gay man.
Well, and so to answer your question, there is not hatred. There is still what we have as conservatives and Christians is a simple understanding that God has a certain sexual ethic that we should try to abide by. Everybody has temptations that you have. They have proclivities that you have. Some people are more likely to gamble. Some people are more likely to be compulsive liars. You don't have to act on those temptations. I am curious though, like, so in your own sexuality right now, do you still feel attracted to men? And I'm asking because just because you feel an attraction doesn't mean you need to act on it. Is that correct?
Yeah, so yes, I would say that I still do have attractions towards men. It's not as much as it used to be 5 years ago, but I've learned that it's not really about whether or not I have attractions towards men still. It's more so about whether I have a relationship with Jesus, which I do, and that relationship with him far exceeds any attractions that I acted on in the past. And my life with him is so much better. And just because you become a Christian, leaving the LGBTQ plus community, that doesn't mean that your same-sex attractions will go away, but it does mean that you will have a God who loves you, who will walk with you, and who will give you eternal life through him.
And let me just say one. Okay. So John 8, if I'm drawing from memory correctly, best embodies both Christ's mercy and love, but also his commitment to truth. And sometimes in the modern gospel, we overemphasize the grace and we underemphasize the truth. Yeah. And so we are far too willing to say, hey, Jesus loves everybody, but we don't get to the second part of the conversation that says Jesus doesn't want you to live in sin. So this is, in John 8, it's best embodied, right? Almost every Christian in this audience will be able to tell you the first part of this, which is a bunch of Sadducees and Pharisees who are standing around with rocks, and they're about to stone the prostitute woman. And Jesus comes up and says, let the first among you without sin cast the first stone. And everyone starts dropping the rocks. But what comes next, shows that Christ is not just grace-focused, he's simultaneously truth-focused. He goes up to the woman who had a career in selling herself for sex and said, sin no more. Now, imagine today how much trouble you would get in if you would go up to somebody and say, stop sinning. No, you're being too judgmental. No, you're actually being Christ-like. So Jesus stood. He was 100% grace and truth. And that tension is very hard in a modern world because we want to overemphasize grace when in reality Christ loves us too much to have us continue to live in sin. He wants us to try to elevate our action. Day job is to go to college campuses so you don't have to, and to spread the message of truth and of liberty. And every message I give, I make sure that I tell young people the importance of ultimate purpose. And I don't know if you noticed this, you probably have, but for many students across the country right now, they are experiencing a crisis of purpose. In fact, I was in Minnesota, in Mankato, and I had some students come up and they say, basically, what is the point of existence? There is no God, there is no truth. And I realized in a very profound way that Satan, who is real, by the way, and the church doesn't talk about Satan enough, and we'll talk about Satan a little bit. That'll be not the most uplifting part of my message. Actually, it's very uplifting because we win against Satan, thanks to Jesus. So there actually is kind of uplifting. Just a matter of how you frame it. Satan has done a very good job of leading us to believe that there's nothing to believe in. And we've seen that over the last year and a half. And kind of in my job, I talk about a lot of different things, but I'm trying to bring people to ultimate purpose. And the ultimate purpose is Jesus Christ. And purpose comes from a Greek word, telos, which is where we get the word telescope from, which means far out in the distance, that which worth aiming for. And without any form of purpose, then you start to get into a lifestyle that prioritizes indulgence or pleasure and all these sorts of different things. And so I was really moved this last week when I had students come up to me. And again, the primary thing I do is not to spread the gospel in the sense that you might think, but everywhere I go, I spread the gospel. It's no different than those of you that are plumbers or carpenters or police officers, that you're able to do it through the work that you embody, and you still talk about it every single day. And I was really moved when students came up to me. They said, Charlie, I'd never heard anyone in the history of this campus say that Jesus Christ was the King of the world. Not once, in 4 years. And it moved me back to an earlier time when I was in church, and I just know I have to get my life right with Christ. And I was just reminded that this is a good kind of lesson that I learned this last week for all of you, that you need to say that every single day to somebody. And it might not be politically correct, of which, if you know me, I could not care less about that. That you need to say every single day that there is objective truth, that there is a point for your existence, that there is a God who loves you and that created you. And I don't know if any of you have had this experience before, but I was kind of jolted awake the other night with just kind of a repetition of Genesis 1:1. I was like, why can I not get Genesis 1:1 out of my head? And it's a scripture that everyone knows in one way or the other. And by the way, Raul gave me this beautiful Bible, and I'm going to get into Bibles in a second, which is a really important thing because I think physical Bibles need to have a comeback, and we got to get rid of our Bible apps. I'll get into that later, though, because I'm a big believer in physical Bibles. I don't mean to offend people. That's probably going to be the most controversial part of my speech today. Because when I say, take out your Bibles, when I speak at churches, people take out their iPads. They say, no, we got to get back. I'll tell you why. I'll make a very good case for it, by the way. I will win over some people, and then some people will send me some angry emails. But the beginning of everything is so beautiful. And we kind of skim over this. And I want to, please open your Bibles, and I'll get to why I think we need to have real Bibles in a second. But I will say that Genesis 1-6 is so beautiful that I encourage all of you to spend some time with it. And do not skim over it. You're like, yeah, I know the creation story. And so just in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. You have three things that are absolutely true that the world tells you is not true. There is a God, and you are not him. It's a pretty amazing thing, isn't it? There is creation, and you didn't create it. And there was a beginning, and God made that beginning possible. Three things. And he did it in ex nihilo, which means out of nothing, God breathed existence. Now, if it continues through Genesis 1, it says God said, God spoke, and there would be existence. Now, there are two creation stories in the Bible, and they both say the exact same thing. The other is in John 1, where it says, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was with God. Now, how you say, Charlie, how's that the same thing? Now, the word word is not actually a perfect English translation of the Greek. John 1 is in the beginning there was the Logos, which means rational speech. What does it say here? God spoke into existence. Both John 1 and Genesis 1 are saying the same thing. They're saying that God spoke it, and then it was. And I love this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. This right here should give us all comfort that there are things that we cannot do. There are things that are above our ability to understand and comprehend. And as I mentioned earlier, there is a God and we are not him. And therefore that God is worthy of our praise. That God is worthy of our worship. That is God worthy of our wonder. Wonder is one of my favorite English words. And wonder is the beginning of the pursuit of truth. This is why the world is so, I think, in a form of chaos right now, is that people don't stop and enjoy the wonder around them. And people, you might say, well, Charlie, what could possibly be wondrous around you? Well, in California, there's like no excuse because you have such a beautiful natural landscape. But outside of just natural beauty, how about the wonder of creation of new life? The wonder of the inexplicable miracle of how DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, is formed. The wonder of the laws of physics. That as soon as you admit, like, wow, my human comprehension, my human-sized brain cannot wrap my head around this, there's something greater than this. And that greater is God. And we now live in a country, and I believe this, the reason that we are becoming significantly less free is because we've become more secular, is because we have removed God from society. Now, this is not something that you'll hear from a lot of different people outside of the church, but I believe that as soon as you de-emphasize God, people will start to find other false religions. They'll start to find other false religions rooted in teachings that are not of the Bible. It says 365 times throughout the Bible, do not be afraid. Once for every day. And yet I feel in the last year and a half, we've been living in a nonstop, perpetual place of constant fear. God does not want you to be afraid. He does not. He's not giving you a spirit of fear, but a spirit of courage and that of a sound mind. And can you live a free and full life if you do not understand the objective meaning of God's place in society and in your life? Now, some people will say, well, Charlie, I know lots of good atheists. That is not the point. The point is, how do you know it's good? That's the point. Is that if there is no God, good is nothing more than an opinion. You only know a line is crooked because you have a straight line to compare it to. God is good and God is perfect. And we know this through what? His word. So let me take a detour up to why we need to get rid of the Bible apps and we need to get our physical Bibles. Okay, let me tell you. This is the inerrant word of God. It is special. I know that Satan is always trying to distract me from reading the word of God. Satan hates it when you try to read the Bible. Anyone get really sleepy right before bed when you read the Bible? That's not from God. That's the spirit of slumber by Satan. Yet you watch a movie and you keep on wanting to go to the next Netflix show. Sometimes the spirit of slumber doesn't come upon you when you're watching a football game. But the spirit of slumber comes on you when you're reading the Bible because Satan wants to distract you from reading the Word of God. He wants to take you away from this. And I know for me that when I open a Bible app, for whatever reason, whatever crisis is going on that day in my life just happens to appear and emerge. That he's going to do whatever he possibly can. Understand, Satan is a person. This is a very important thing. That by name, Satan was a fallen angel from heaven trying to distract you, lie to you, and deceive you. Why would we ever try to say, I'm going to use a device or a platform that allows me to somehow get my eyes off the Word of God? That's number one. Number two, it allows other people to hold you accountable to reading the Word of God. I know when I open my Bible, that's all I'm doing. But when my wife sees me on my phone, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm reading the Bible. She's like, are you really reading?
Who are unprepared to speak in front of an audience like yourself. Hold on. You're 30 years old. We can agree you're 30 years old, right? Do you think that's a little bit silly?
Are you a voter?
I am a voter. I'm a registered voter.
I vote and you vote. So I'm talking to voters of this country that will determine the future of Western civilization. That's what I'm doing here today. Yeah? Wait, hold on. How is it any different than a professor talking to you?
Then a professor talking to you? Who are you?
Well, important enough for you to come up to a microphone.
You create a company that's like close to being a fascist, and then like.
Okay. Well, how am I? Sorry. Let's go through this. How am I a fascist?
Dude, like you.
Can you name one thing I believe that's fascist?
You believe that like you on. Oh, shit.
Don't let him think.
But
I'm such a bad fascist. I let the people who disagree in open mic to talk to me for 2 hours uninterrupted.
Okay.
I'm an awful fascist. I'm more like a free speech liberal of the 1970s, not a fascist.
But I just want to say Turning Point USA is a evil company that was funded by thousands of fracking companies, and that just...
No, it's not thousands, but we do have some frackers that give us money. But
yeah, and then all it is making the rich more... rich.
Fascism to fracking.
That's all it is. That's all it is.
Okay, again, I'm happy to have a debate. I can see you're getting kind of fired up.
I'm sorry.
So, but why are we evil? Like, we're having a nice discussion.
Because
all of a sudden you're calling me like
because
a fascist.
it seems like you just want the rich get even more rich. Like
we haven't talked about the rich at all. I mean, so you don't even know my positions on this stuff. Under no circumstance ever should a man ever let a woman pay for a date, or you should split ever. No circumstance.
Even on the third, fourth, fifth.
What if it's the first date and you're just not into
for anything?
Okay, well let me.
Period.
Well, let me. Okay, so
what kind of world are we living in?
Well, hold on a second. I agree with you. If I'm dating a girl, I would pay for everything.
Everything.
Yeah, everything. However, I could see for other people that might be in a different financial position, you know, you pay for 10 dates and then she's like, you know what, I want to treat you.
Well,
I think that's so sweet.
That's totally different. No, what we're talking about is like, oh, we're going to alternate. Like, well, what's your serious? And she wants to take you out to something for a nice dinner. And you might, by the way, if you have the intent to marry, you're already like kind of blending finances. Like, I get that psychologically. But like, if you're like, oh, we'll take turns. Like, oh, well, you know, you pay this time, I pay this time.
What's your advice to a girl who the guy she's currently seeing, he says that?
Oh, do not marry that man.
But here's the thing. I feel like they should always
break up.
offer.
Great.
But they should offer. They should pull out the credit card.
The woman? Of course not.
Just to offer.
No.
It's a nice gesture.
No, by the way, no. This is feminism. Feminism is that you have to be this like self-independent. This is not a nice gesture. It's you trying to be like egalitarian. No. You as women should want to be provided for. In fact, you should have an expectation that you as a woman are so important and so critical and so necessary and beautiful that it shouldn't even be a question.
Do you view democracy as an American value, something that's very important to the fabric of this country?
No. Where is democracy in the U.S. Constitution?
Oh, okay. So
No, hold on. Where is the word democracy?
I don't think the word democracy is in the Constitution.
So where is the word democracy in any of the founding fathers?
A lot of the founding fathers had extremely elitist viewpoints around who should...
Hold on. I just want to... You said the word democracy, so I want to get back to our roots.
Yes.
Where is democracy mentioned? In the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, or the Declaration?
I think it's good that this country has moved away from things that were explicitly believed by the founding
in the Federalist
fathers.
Papers, and it's mentioned negatively as a problem. So you ask me, is democracy a fundamental American value? I say no.
Okay.
Because I go back to our roots. And Hamilton, Madison, and Jay...
Oh, I know that Hamilton was anti-democracy.
Well, hold on,
these
let me
people
finish.
thought that people should be owned as
I want to be
property.
clear. I am pro-representative government, but I'm not pro-democracy. That's a big difference, and that distinction's important. But you asked very specifically about democracy, which is not an American value. It never has been and never should be, because what is democracy? Democracy is majority rule no matter what. That there's no provisions of checks and balances, no inalienable rights, no separation of powers, pure if the majority gets it, the majority wants it as quickly as possible.
I don't advocate pure democracy. I do understand that we live in a representative, like we live in a republic, and I understand these things.
You're a stochastic terrorist.
What is that?
You're targeting a minority group. You're targeting trans people
Got
specifically.
What is a woman?
That's a stupid ass question, dude. That's a dumbass question.
What is a woman, college student?
What is a woman? Oh, you're talking to a college student instead of like, I don't know, someone who has media training?
They can't answer what a woman is. It's not a trick question. What is a woman?
Someone who identifies as a woman.
What is that thing? You can't answer the question with the question. It's like saying, what is the sun? The sun is something that looks like the sun. What is a woman?
It's a social identifies as a woman.
No, you can't answer the question with... Yeah, define the woman without saying woman. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Yes, ma'am. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What's your name?
Dakota.
Nice to meet you, Dakota. How old are you?
I'm 11.
Amazing. Give it up for Dakota being here today.
So, I'm pro-life. I'm a fiscal conservative. And I know I want to get into politics when I grow up. I don't want to get into massive debt for a political science degree. What concrete steps can I take now in order to achieve the goal of doing my part to make America great again?
Oh, great. You should go to Hillsdale College, America's greatest college, and start studying now. Start taking classes, reading books. You have to be in charge of your own education, and the fact you're thinking like this at 11 is a great sign. God bless you, and the future is very bright. Thank you. Do you want a hat? What's your name?
None of your business, unfortunately, but...
Okay, hello, nice to meet you, none of your business.
Thank you, I appreciate it. So, do you love America?
Yes, I do.
I hate America. Every state in the USA should be an independent country. What do you think of this?
Well, I just first have to ask, since you hate the country, do you plan to leave?
What do you mean by that?
Do you plan to go live in another country?
No, I do not.
Let me tell you something.
Your face is an idiot.
America.
I have a friend named Thomas Sheedy. He is the founder of an organization called Atheists for Liberty. He is openly conservative, but he's mostly interested in atheist activism and normalizing atheism in all sects, including the conservative movement. He seems to be under the impression that a lot of conservatives, including you, are more hesitant to work with atheist organizations. Is there any truth to that?
Yes and no. I mean, if you're an atheist and you want to be part of the conservative movement, go ahead. But you must be an honest atheist and acknowledge that morality is definitionally subjective without a belief in God. You cannot be an atheist and believe in objective morality. It is an impossibility. And true atheists will acknowledge this. At some point, you have an ought claim. Well, things ought to be a certain way. We as Christians, or we that believe in the divine, we have is claims, that murder is wrong. Whereas an atheist will say, well, murder ought to be wrong, because you can't have an objective definition if there is not a divine eternal power over you. So look, if an atheist wants to fight alongside of us to end abortion or to try and end the massacring of our kids, that's called gender-affirming care, or if an atheist wants to march alongside of us to say no men and female sports, they're more than welcome to be able to do that. But Atheists for Liberty is an interesting phrase, because I don't believe you can have liberty without God, because liberty is not man's idea, it is God's idea. That's just my own personal belief, and it's also the belief of everything that built this nation. But yes, I know a lot of good atheists. The question, though, is how do you know they're good? It's because you're appealing to a moral authority above just the secular material realm, one that is transcendent, we would believe, given by God.
Well, I don't believe in objective morality. I do know there are plenty of atheists who are moral objectivists.
Are you an atheist? Sorry to interrupt. But
oh, yeah.
Okay, cool. So let me just, can I ask you a question? And I know this is your first time at the mic, so I'm just going to try to be tender in doing this.
Okay, appreciate
that. So
you
don't believe in objective morality, right?
I personally don't.
Okay. Was the Holocaust objectively wrong?
Objectively, no, but it would have been better if it didn't happen, because most people wouldn't want that to happen.
So that's where we are on different planets. And that's okay. I'm not trying to make fun of you. I'm trying to be graceful in the way that we're going about this. Sure. Do you think Hitler was objectively evil?
No, because it's subjective.
But I just hope all of you guys understand he's being an honest atheist to your credit, because as an atheist, you're not allowed to say anything is objectively right or wrong. I come from a worldview that when you butcher 6 million people, that is objectively wrong no matter what. And it's very important. It's a very important truth claim, because when you do not have objective truth anchoring your society, then it becomes a power struggle. If you do not have truth, then power will reign. Whoever can get the most amount of power then ends up having the most amount of say over society. We believe what is objectively right, true, good, and beautiful should be transcendent over society. Your thoughts?
So do you believe objective morality specifically comes from the Bible?
Yes and no. It's in nature, and the Bible explains nature. So objective morality can be discovered in many different cultures and societies, pointing towards what we believe is the ultimate objective truth, Jesus Christ. C.S. Lewis explained this the best in his book Abolition of Man, which is that almost every religion talks about a certain way to live, a Tao, or a path that we should be on. And so more simply than just the Bible, we believe in what the founders believed, which is an ethical monotheism, that there is one God. He has a general way that he wants you to live. For example, murdering is bad, kidnapping is wrong, defense of the innocent, and we should do our best to try to live alongside of that path.
Okay, well, I think those are very interesting examples. You bring up the founders, you bring up Hitler, but Hitler was a self-proclaimed Catholic, and he called Nazism a Christian movement.
Yeah, I would be careful saying that. He was not. That's okay.
He called himself a Catholic. He specifically said in 1927, our movement is Christian. They had on the belt buckles God on our side.
Yeah,
they had to swear to the Almighty God. Atheists were not trusted to be in the SS.
Even if I grant you that, despite the fact that he killed a lot of pastors and priests, and there, of course, you can pervert things in the name of God. No one denounces that. Just as a side note, though, far more people died under the banner of atheism than Christianity in the 20th century. Mao was an atheist, Stalin was an atheist, Pol Pot was an atheist. Believing in no God actually led to the destruction and the murder of well over 100 million people. And that's fine. So again, if atheists want to come alongside us as conservatives and fight for what is good, that is great. But I will never acknowledge that atheists can tell me what is objectively good. They can only give me a preference. They cannot tell me what is right. And preferences eventually will lead you towards moral and societal decline.
Okay, so I think you just listed a bunch of communists, and it's worth acknowledging the vast majority of atheists are not communists, just like the vast majority of Christians are not theocrats who don't support the divine right. It's also worth acknowledging that the founders were actually inspired by Enlightenment values, not by the Bible. America was founded as a secular nation. We were the first, quote-unquote, godless constitution.
Yeah, again, I've done this so many times, so I don't know if we want to waste our time doing this, but 55 out of 56 of the signers of the Declaration were Bible-believing, church-attending Christians. 9 out of 13 of the states at the time of ratification required a declaration of faith in order for you to serve in the states. Our birth certificate, which is the Mayflower Compact, said explicitly, we are here to spread Christianity throughout the land. It was the first great revival that led to the American Revolution of Jonathan Edwards and Jonathan Mayhew and George Whitefield that preached all across the eastern seaboard. John Adams famously said, the Constitution is written solely for a moral and religious people. It's wholly inadequate for the people of any other. We were a Christian nation that was able to embrace the idea of a free society. God is mentioned 4 times in the Declaration of Independence. Not only that, Jesus Christ is mentioned in the Declaration of Independence, where it says we appeal to the divine judge of the universe, which of course is a direct appeal to Jesus in the book of Revelation. Yes, there were rationalist Enlightenment values that informed some of the founders, but it irrefutably was a Christian nation. Maryland was Catholic. Pennsylvania was Quaker. Almost every state had their own specific type of Christian preference. The idea of an atheist or not believing in any God was an idea that was so foreign to the founders. Even Thomas Jefferson, the great deist, he revered the Bible, albeit with some significant edits. However, the idea of believing in no cosmological or no axiological or no teleological or no ontological being would be a concept that our founding fathers would not just find foreign, they would find it extraordinarily dangerous. Why? Because the French Revolution was happening simultaneously as the American Revolution, which was explicitly atheist. They actually recreated their own gods and they said, we are going to appeal to what? The God of reason. And this is my final contention, is that when I talk to atheists, the French Revolution is a great example. They literally tried to change the Gregorian calendar to a 10-day week. They went and imprisoned people of faith. They put priests in jail, all these different sorts of things. They said, we are going to appeal to the God of reason. Well, how did that work out? Because it didn't, let me make the best, sorry to interrupt you. If we live under a status of DEI and people are getting jobs that they're not qualified for, wouldn't then an applicant then assume maybe that an applicant might be there based on DEI, not on merit? It actually creates more racism where it doesn't exist.
So DEI is not about going and grabbing some random person of color and saying you therefore qualify. DEI is about considering other qualified applicants.
Well, let's take airline pilots. United Airlines wants 40% all of their airline pilots to be women or people of color. Why does that matter? Number one, because I want a qualified airline pilot, not a person of color airline pilot.
Understood.
So you agree. But number two, there's only so many airline pilots jobs. So when you say we want 40%, by definition, then you have to discriminate against a certain group to get another group to advance, right?
Understood.
Because there's not unlimited amounts of spots for airline pilots or air traffic control or surgeons or whatever position. So when you say that we want to have a quota, that then you have to say we're not going to prioritize a certain group. Let me tell you what I believe, and maybe you might actually agree with it, because I think you do. What we believe as conservatives is that skin color really doesn't matter that much. We care about character and merit. We want a country built on what you bring to the table, not how you look.
Exactly. And America started out with that based on merit, and theoretically it was supposed to work. In practice, it did not, which is why you have these different programs of affirmative action, DEI, and the Civil Rights Act, because they were not working. You cannot ignore that these policies were created to counteract racism. A counteract to racism is not racism in itself.
Well, I reject the premise, and I will say this. If you do something racist on top of something racist, that doesn't make the second racist action good. Because if you discriminate against white people to say that we're fighting racism, then that's not a good idea. But instead, I think you can agree that when we build a society like college admissions or job applications, We should say no quotas and just merit. You agree?
I agree.
Then you're against DEI because DEI says quotas.
Yeah, let me finish. I agree to a certain extent. So when you mention about discriminating against whites, of course, I don't agree with that.
Well, that is DEI, just so we're clear.
Right, and I'm going to say it again.
Cool. All right.
DEI was created to offset racism. We left it up to majority of white America to include people of color or qualifying credentials. They would not. So if my argument is that you're saying it's reverse racism, my argument is that it needed to be there to counteract racism. Sounds like we need to find a different solution for both parties.
I have a great solution. Stop talking about race all the time. Race doesn't mean anything. Because I look at you not as a black guy, but as a human being made in the image of God, and I want to know what you bring to the table. Are you good at the job? Are you better than your competitor? Because let me just pause for a second. I just want you to hear out what we believe. Is that when you talk about race all the time, you start to resegregate society based on tribes, and you lose this idea of e pluribus unum, all made in the image of God, out of many one. And yes, we have made many mistakes in our past, but we were getting closer as a country in my childhood as being not obsessed with race. We've become more race obsessed over the last 10 years, especially the last 5 years, which is why we're seeing the anti-DEI movement, which actually ends up hurting people of color more than previously. And I guess the biggest question, though, is that why should race matter at all? Shouldn't we just de-emphasize it?
What I wanted to first respond to was the notion of stop talking about race. I don't agree with that notion for the simple fact that talking about things bring awareness. Awareness leads to actions. Actions produce change results. I just want to use your logic and flip it on you. Imagine if you had cancer and your doctor was like, let's just stop talking about it. It wouldn't, in the same context that racism wouldn't go away.
Got it.
Cancer wouldn't go away.
Let's accept that premise.
Not.
Do you think racism is a top 100 problem in America?
I think it is. I haven't considered the other 99 to give a thorough.
Crime, fathers not being around, obesity, suicide, mental health issues,
for sure,
anxiety, cost of college, an open border, Russian-Ukrainian war, nuclear proliferation, artificial intelligence, the rise of China. All that's probably more important than racism. So
I'm not saying it is or isn't.
But however,
you're kind of changing the subject.
No, I'm not. But I'm going to use your premise. If I have cancer, that's the most important thing happening to me.
Correct.
Racism is not a cancer on America. Racism is sin, and we'll never get rid of sin because we are broken, fallen creatures from our Creator, and we rebelled.
Right, so but you do not solve issues by not discussing them. If you and your wife I'm not sure if you're married, if you and your wife have a disagreement with communication, and you tell her, hey, let's just stop talking about our problems. The problems do not disappear.
I actually don't think it's an issue nearly as much as you do. I think we've made it a bigger issue.
I'm not making it a bigger issue. I'm just discussing. This is just my talking point.
I'm saying generally. But let's just say, and then I do want to get your definition, though. What is racism?
Racism is a form of feeling superiority. It is expressed through discrimination and through the legal system.
Oh, fair enough. So we agree that's wrong and it's terrible. So we should get rid of practices that actively discriminate against anybody based on race. Can you be racist against white people?
Can I? Or black people?
No, can a black person like yourself be racist against a white person?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. We agree, and you should be applauded for that because some people on the left think you can't be racist against white people.
So
not all.
Just to speak for black people.
That's quite a statement, but sure.
Well, let me speak for the majority who are of my opinion. So when blacks who, let's say, have disdain for whites, it is not based on racism. It is based in cause and effect. It is normal for anybody to hate a suppressor. It is normal for anybody to hate it is normal for anybody to hate their murderers. America went to war with the British Empire for being suppressed and oppressed. So my concluding point is that a lot of the hate that can be perceived from blacks as white is hating oppression, not white people. Because if you substitute our oppression for a Mexican, if a Mexican oppresses us, we therefore hate him as well. If a black man oppresses us, we therefore hate oppression.
I think that's a fair point. Let me ask one final question, if that's okay. If you had to decide which is a bigger problem facing black America, racism or a lack of fathers raising black kids, which is a bigger problem?
I would say what impact? Repeat the question.
If you had to decide in a binary choice, which is a bigger problem facing black America, racism or a lack of fathers raising black youth?
I think it's a combination of both, but for sure we'll say black because blackness affects blacks more than you ever affect me in my life.
I'm sorry, so you would say racism or the black fathers?
Fathers.
I agree. So now we have agreement. Do you agree that the last 5 years we've talked more about racism and way less about dads staying around with the women they impregnate? Would you agree that's probably a problem?
I agree that's a problem amongst all races. When you say we, who is we?
Well, as a society, but it's especially a problem in Black America. If you had to guess, I know this is like Trivial Pursuit, but approximate, what percentage of Black youth have a stable father around?
I wouldn't know those numbers, sir.
It's about 30%. So that means that 2 out of 3 Black kids do not have a dad around.
I will have to fact check that for myself.
That's fine. You can look it up. You guys can look it up on Grok or ChatGPT or Perplexity or the AI of your choice, right? And so here's our perspective as conservatives, because this is a colorblind truth. See, as conservatives, we apply things that are true to all human beings regardless of their skin color. That if you don't have a dad around, you're more likely to commit crimes, go to jail, more likely to basically be on the outer fringe of society. When 2 out of 3 Black youth don't have dads around, that's a big, big problem. And it creates a cycle of violence and poverty. That's not racism, that's culture.
I think you're a very beautiful man. I admire you physically. But, no homo. I did have a question. Something I don't find very interesting about you, something I find kind of repulsive, is that I believe you said that the Civil Rights Act was bad and that we shouldn't have that.
Okay, well...
thank you. I appreciate that. I don't like you as much as Charlie, though.
First of all, what's your name?
Sorry. I don't want to be, like, filmed and stuff.
Too late.
I'm anonymous, #1. Anonymous guy.
Okay. Well, hello. Nice to meet you, anonymous guy.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, too.
Yeah, I believe in part of the essence of the Civil Rights Act went way too far, way too wide.
Oh, how did it go too far?
Well, for example, it created an entire civil rights leviathan that gave us affirmative action.
Civil rights leviathan? What do you mean?
Yeah, so if you can let me finish 3 words in.
Sorry.
It allowed the Department of Justice to go after people that have different skin color, a.k.a. white people, and prevent them from getting jobs in college admissions.
You have a job.
I'm sorry?
You have a job.
No, you're right, I do. Right, but just until Trump came around, until the Supreme Court decision, thanks to the Civil Rights Act, if you have white skin color, it's much harder to get into a college than if someone has black skin color. Much harder. You have to get higher test scores. It's a much harder pool, largely thanks to the precedent set by the Civil Rights Act. Not to mention all the trans stuff that we're seeing. We're seeing men be able to win trophies and medals from women across the country, and they use the Civil Rights Act to justify it.
Okay, I think I see where you're coming from. So you think that it's harder for white people because black people they could have lower tech scores and get them?
It's not what I think. It's the fact.
That's what you're saying. Okay. All right. Well, I guess what I would say too. I think perhaps you're familiar with the term equity, right? Where different people have different circumstances.
It's
which
Marxism.
leads to different outcomes.
I reject.
Okay. Well, whether you reject it or not, I think it's a prescient concept in this argument. Because what you have to understand is that when for example, you're born in like a black neighborhood, you're born in like O Block or something, like a very, very, like a. Oh, you don't know what O Block is? Oh, well, if you're born there, if you're born in a very poor area like that, with like very low economic opportunity, very, very poor schools with very low ratings, where the average test score is much lower, when you're in that environment, you have the whole system up against you, right? So when you say in that kind of circumstance, when you're facing the whole, I guess, leviathan of systemic racism, would you say that's... sorry, let me just finish. When you say it's fair to, for example, lower the standard because knowing that their circumstances were like that, perhaps based on what they had, what was presented to them, they had the correct amount of merit to get into a school.
Okay, so are you a student here? I'm guessing you are.
Oh, yeah, I'm a student here.
Are you a pretty good student?
Oh, yeah, I would say I'm a good student. I have a pretty high GPA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you give your GPA to her because she's a woman of color, please?
Oh, well, you want me to give you a... Well, I mean, I can.
Would you be willing to do that?
Yeah, sure.
You'd be good. You cool with that?
Yeah,
so,
I'm fine. Wait, you mean
I want you...
Like tell her or like
no,
give it to her?
by force.
Like we're swapping it.
Let me tell you what I'm going to do. By force, white man.
Okay, yeah.
I'm going to take your GPA. I'm going to give it to a woman of color.
Okay.
You're cool with that?
I mean, yeah, I can just work back up. Like,
there's no working back up.
I can pull myself up by my bootstraps.
No, there's no working back up.
What do you mean you can't work back up? That's the whole point of conservatism, isn't it?
I'm going to keep on taking it from you because that's equity. And you're cool with that.
What? But that's not
This is equity in practice.
Equity isn't taking. Equity is applying the equal standard.
If you give, how do you get? You must take and then you give.
Wait, what do you mean?
That which is given must first be taken.
Well, what's being taken?
Well, in this case, grades from you to grades to her.
No one's taking my grades though. That's not what affirmative action is.
Hold on a second.
No one takes your grades.
Hold on a second. If you only have so many, you only have so many positions at University of South Florida to come in, right? There's a set number. Let's say it's 20,000 people. Okay.
and we're going to say we're going to lower the test standards so that somebody that's a woman of color can come in, and therefore it's harder for you. So it's a higher bar for you, lower bar for them. Definitionally, that's a redistribution of test scores to somebody else, just by the definition. And you're okay with that?
Well, I guess I would ask then, if we were to do what you're doing, I guess that's what's happening under Trump, right?
Well, no, it's actually been happening the last 40 years.
Okay, actually, yeah, whatever. Okay, so when you say that, if you do that, then, well, black people aren't going to get into school, and then they won't be able to uplift themselves, they won't be able to have prosperous families, they won't be able to, equalize the economic status, because you need to give them a little jump start. You know what? You have a car, right?
How is that? Well, no, now I know who you are.
No, it's good.
But no, how has that worked the last 40 years? We've had robust affirmative action. We've had hiring practices. Has it made black America more successful?
I can answer that easily. It's because sorry. It's because sorry. What am I going for?
I don't know.
You're a funny guy. So what happened is, even after the Civil Rights Act, you know what I believe the term is massive resistance. It was a movement in after the Broad versus Board of Education in Virginia, where essentially the legislature, which was still white supremacist, which is still extremely racist, they decided that no, we're going to do everything that feasibly possible within our means to stop black people from going to white schools. You even see this in I believe it was the Little Rock Nine, right? Even after it was legalized at the state level, white supremacist mobs still mobilized to prevent it. So even if it de facto it's gone, de jure it still exists.
Let me ask you a very simple question. A term you keep on throwing around.
Got you.
What is racism?
What is racism? Ooh, that's a very complicated question. But
no, it's not.
I mean, there's a simple answer, and then there's the highly theoretical answer.
Give me the simple.
The simple answer will essentially be because we have like different skin colors, that he's treated a different way than me. He has like a different upbringing than me.
No. But what is racism in practice?
It's discrimination.
Based on the color of the skin.
Based on the color of the skin, yeah.
Got it. Thank you. So isn't it racist then to penalize white people to come into college or to get jobs based on the color of their skin?
Well, no.
Wouldn't that?
Okay. I don't know. But my question is, when you go to these like events, like major Republican, conservative, is it like now? Do you face some bias when you're speaking, or do you believe some of the stuff that you're actually saying? Because I know you have like good quotes and stuff, but I just feel like when you're like in a sea full of like MAGA hats and stuff, is it not like hard to like speak against that, or do you like actually believe everything that you're saying in a way?
Yes, I do believe everything I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a bad faith question. I do, because your assumption is that we are insincere in our beliefs. But we're here, the only benefit that we have here to come here today is to talk to people like yourself, because we love our country and we really, really want to make sure that there are things that are happening now that we feel are potentially fundamentally disrupting what has been so great about this greatest experiment in human history, which is this unfettered free speech that the woman that you're supporting, Kamala Harris, and her running mate Walls paper. They said that the free speech, they describe it as a privilege. Now, this is either they're constitutionally ignorant or they're knowingly false, because it is a guaranteed First Amendment right for all Americans. It is not a privilege like a driver's license. When you are born in America, you have the right to speak your mind. And it isn't the nice stuff that needs protecting. It's the stuff that everybody disagrees with. And it's the stuff that maybe is not nice. But that needs to be protecting too, because if someone's going to decide what free speech that you say and what I say, if it's going to be the government, they're always going to do what's best for the government. So we need to protect all speech. And I'm going to protect your right to free speech. I'm going to protect your right to vote any way that you want from the highest mountain. Always. I will do that.
So in the spirit of hearing ideas that we might always hear, tell us why you're supporting Kamala Harris.
I just like her character more than I like Trump. I don't like it. No.
Guys, give Miles an opportunity to uninterrupted to tell me, because it's fascinating. I didn't know her character was something worth.
I like that she's trying to like work for the middle class. That's what I see a lot, and I think that's what she is.
So yeah, Miles. So I have a question. What has she or Joe Biden done for the middle class in the last 4 years?
No, not too sure about that.
That's okay. So
but I'm like slowly getting there.
No, that's
Like,
okay.
Election day, I feel like that's okay. We can like work our way up.
For sure, no, and it takes a lot of courage to come up to an event like this.
Mhm.
So let me tell you where we're coming from, and then maybe I can convince you to trade out that hat for a MAGA hat. Just maybe, okay? That's a long shot. We'll see. So Kamala Harris is part of a tradition of career politicians that run very persuasive, sexy political advertisements that are nowhere in alignment with what they've actually done. So let's look at the issues we care about most. I imagine, Miles, you want to be able to own a home at some time?
That's like my main goal. I want to like own a
Awesome.
home.
And good. Honestly, Miles, everybody in this audience should be able to own a home as easily as your parents were. But right now, especially here in Phoenix, it's so out of grasp. When Trump was president, the average mortgage rate in Phoenix, Arizona, mortgage payment was $700 a month. Now it's $2,000 a month here in the city of Phoenix. Said differently, it required $75,000 a year to buy a home in Phoenix when Trump was president. Now it's $135,000 a year to buy a home. And I say, well, Charlie, how is that Biden and Kamala Harris's fault? They decided to spend $6 to $7 trillion of unnecessary government spending right out of the gate that increased asset prices. Additionally, they allowed 10 million people into the country that we didn't account for. That also increases the demand for housing, especially here in this state. So we really care about the ability for you to be able to own the home. And if Kamala Harris is going to do it, she would have done it these last 4 years. Secondly, we care about ending the wars. I bet you're pretty interested in that. War is not, no, maybe?
No, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Let's end the wars.
Yeah, so Kamala Harris has demonstrated and surrounded herself with people that are aggressively in favor of the Russian-Ukrainian war, and the same people that designed the failed wars of Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, and Libya. For example, Liz Cheney, Dick Cheney, Leon Panetta, John Bolton. Donald Trump is the only president of an unbroken chain of 32 years to start no new wars and actually bring peace to the Middle East. We did not have any new wars under Donald Trump.
If you're a homeowner, you need to listen to this. When's the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof that you own your house. If you're like me, the answer is never. The problem is, in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles, and your equity is the target. Here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document, use a fake notary stamp, pay a small fee with your county, and boom, your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property. You won't even know it's happened until you get a collection or a foreclosure notice. That's why you need to stop what you're doing and find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code Kirk at HometitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud should happen, they'll spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com now. Use promo code Kirk. That's HometitleLock.com, promo code Kirk.
And finally, I mentioned this briefly, the border. I believe that everyone in this audience should be given preference above somebody who illegally comes into our country that was not welcome or invited. When Trump was president, we had the most secure border in history. Under Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, we've had 10 million people, and they get taxpayer-funded benefits. They get luxury hotel rooms. They get flights into the interior of the country. And so on those three issues, home ownership, the border, and war, Donald Trump doesn't just say he did. And I would just ask you, you don't have to answer right now, because I know it's hard to get in front of an audience of people like this. Can you show me that anything Kamala has done that shows she's better at Trump than what Trump did on those three things?
No.
That's okay. I appreciate that. Yeah. I want to encourage you to do your research because it is it's very tempting to fall for propaganda that you just see on TV. I bet a lot of people here in the audience can give you something to think about and something to consider, because Kamala Harris, she does not care for you. She cares about her own political career. Trump is different. Last thing I'll say is this. The guy's been shot multiple times, facing 700 years in prison. They took all of his money from him, his business empire, and he keeps on fighting. There's something about him where he cares deeply about the well-being of your life and your livelihood to put our country first. So, Rob, do you want to add something to that?
I just want to say something that's really important. What's happened under this administration, the Biden-Harris administration, and this affects all of you. They've secretly, not so secretly, put in the Selective Service back in, and I do not want any of you fighting on foreign soil, any of you fighting on any wars. Any of you. I don't want it. And as far as democracy, they say they're saving democracy. Well, let me just go over this, because Bernie Sanders technically had won in 2016 the Democratic nomination for president, but they didn't give it to him. They used these super delegates to dump him and put in who they wanted undemocratically in the primary in 2016. In 2020, again, Biden lost the first two primaries, and they just made everybody else drop out. And so you had no choice. If you were a Democratic voter in 2020, you had to vote for Biden. The same thing again this year. 14 million people voted for Biden in the Democratic primary, and none of those votes count because they just decided to take him out because they thought they could lose, and they just anointed Kamala Harris with 0 votes. That is not democracy. That is tyranny, and it gives you a little taste of what they intend to do if they remain in power. So I wish you the best. Think about this, and I'm going to give you a hat just in case you want to wear it.
And Miles, let me just ask, what we talked about, those 3 things, did you hear that previously before in a fair setting?
No, I did not hear it in a fair setting as before, but it's good to be on one-on-one and just like have a conversation about that.
Cool. Well, Miles, I want to thank you for coming up. Please.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, and I'm going to make a complete pivot from religion at all. So let's all calm down a little bit, but first of all, I want to begin with a yes or no question. Is that cool? Okay, do you think that we see more divisiveness in our country today than we have in modern American history, let's say within the last 30 years? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I will then begin what I have written down so that way I can get my point across clearly. Is that okay? Okay, what I personally believe is the future for this country is for us to be able to reunite in a sense. It's my opinion that since the start of Trump's first term in 2016, we have seen an unquestionable increase in hate crimes and political violence. January 6th, we can talk about that one. What is your opinion on the divisiveness? What is your opinion on the divisiveness perpetuated by the Trump administration, if you think there is any at all?
Do you have any issue the fact that the first time Riley came to campus here, she had to be barricaded for multiple hours because left-wing students tried to physically attack her?
Okay.
Is that divisive?
I mean, even last night at Portland State University, there was a group of Antifa members, whether it was students, community members, people who were bussed in. We don't know. About 5 people ended up being arrested for ultimately trying to physically
That's
put
great.
themselves
So I don't
in...
consider myself a liberal. I think
That's fine, but no, but you have to be morally correct. You're going after the Trump thing.
Right.
When Riley was
I'm going
barricaded,
after the current sitting president.
Right. When Riley was barricaded on this campus, were they wearing MAGA hats?
Okay, so I just heard of your name today. I don't even know. I didn't even know who.
Yeah,
you
no,
were
but I mean,
today.
just the point though is that it's the left that's dividing this country. We're bringing this country together. Okay, this is very simple.
Okay, that's fine. Can I ask you a follow-up question then? Can you cite any quote of any sitting Democratic president between the last 3? We can count Kamala because she was a candidate, but Obama, Biden, or Kamala saying anything. Oh, actually, we will discount Biden saying that Trump supporters are trash. But any other time saying that they're the enemy within, which Trump has used, the enemy, evil.
They call them Nazis every
yeah,
other week.
Absolutely.
Okay, again, a president.
Yes,
not
Joe
liberals.
Biden gave a speech in November of 2022, right before the midterms, in front of Independence Hall.
I would love to see a quote.
Yes, saying that, quote, there is a rise of white supremacy and fascism that must be stomped out of the country. I'm paraphrasing. Okay. But again, literally calling half the country fascists and coming after us. That's exactly what he did.
What
in
about
fact,
the
he
right
said,
side, though?
In fact, he said ultra MAGA is a threat to the country.
MAGA, keyword MAGA. I think there's a difference between MAGA and Republicans.
He said that everyone wearing here a red hat is a threat to the homeland. Joe Biden declared. They are?
The amount of times.
That guy right there. Hold on. Look them in the eye. These people are threats to the homeland?
Okay, that's fine.
Who here wants a hat? Are all these people? No, I want you to look at your fellow American citizens wanting this hat.
That's great.
Are these people a threat to the country? Is that what you're saying? These people are a threat to the country?
I think the ideology that they perpetuate is. I think there's a lot. You yourself have said we have seen an increase in hate crimes and political.
No, we have not. No, I did not. I said we're more divided. We have not seen an increase of hate crimes. We've seen.
Why do you think we're more divided, Charlie?
Oh, I think we're more divided because we finally exposed the left for what they are, and the left is the one dividing this country.
Okay, so you no part of you at all can reflect on what you just said as a divisive.
We are not. Well, let me prove it to you. Let me prove it to you in real time.
Can I finish though?
Are there open mics for conservatives to speak at San Francisco State?
There's conservatives everywhere, dude. There's 2 parties. That's another thing about this country.
Not in San Francisco.
There's liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats.
Is it easy for conservatives to speak out at the school?
Not at all, and that's not okay. That's what I'm saying. I came up to the mic with this sense of let's reunite as a country.
I agree. The way we reunite is by defeating the left.
Okay, again, you're cutting me off. by defeating the left. I have never said let's defeat the right. I think that the ideology that MAGA pushes is it's bad. It's cancerous.
What ideology specifically?
Just hating the left. Oh, the enemy within. The president that you guys support that's sitting in the Oval Office right now has said over and over again that Democrats are the enemy within.
They are.
Okay, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're what's wrong with this country, Charlie Kirk. Thank you.
No, actually, let me prove to you. You know how we heal a country? We heal the country by allowing people to express their opinions without canceling, censorship, smear, or slander.
MAGA is what's wrong, not Republicans. MAGA.
Okay.
Thank you.
He just said
MAGA is the solution.
I never said MAGA should be defeated.
Yeah, exactly. Again, I'll say this: the American left.
2028, cross our fingers. MAGA won't be a thing. I hate to break it to you.
Yeah. Hey, they it's so funny. They said that. They said that after January 6th, and now MAGA is more popular than ever. This is San Francisco,
That's not
dude.
true. That's not true. Trump.
This is San Francisco. This is
This
not,
is 0.00001% of San Francisco. Congrats.
Okay, but I think it's noteworthy though that on a college campus in the middle of a day, we're able to draw nearly
None of these
1,000
people go here. I can guarantee you. A lot of these people are community.
They're all students. What are you talking about?
Oh, hi guys.
And I said San Francisco. They live in the area or in the city. And so you can live in this kind of cycle of denial. This hat is a beautiful symbol. You know what this hat means?
Sure.
It's a symbol of American revival, of prosperity, of hope, of optimism, of
That's
a
great.
better future.
And I would much rather use that language than calling the left the enemy. Because ultimately, Charlie, we
You
need
just
to
said
come
you
together?
hope MAGA's not a thing in 4 years.
I know,
3
exactly.
It's not gonna be.
Oh, okay. We'll play back this tape in 4 years and we'll see.
Tastes me about liberals is they'll say things like, yeah, we're pro-choice. But then when it comes to like vaccinations and my body, my choice, suddenly they're not so pro-choice anymore. I feel like conservatives do the same thing, but only pro-life side.
What do you think my answer is?
Because it is something bad.
Well, yeah.
But if life
And
is
the- and
invaluable, then why do you not consider it
because-
valuable throughout the whole lifespan, not just the beginning?
Because you believe in putting criminals in jail, right?
Yes.
Which is a taking of their rights.
Not their life.
Their whole life is completely changed. So I guess it's also
Right.
an insult to the victim, isn't it? Saying that your life doesn't matter so much that your murderer can keep on living, but you yourself aren't living. It actually devalues the value of the victim, or the victims, actually, in a lot of times. God repeated in all 5 books of the Torah, you take a life, your life will be taken. To the consistency argument, if there is a baby here, in the womb, that baby has done nothing wrong. Whereas a guy who went and shot up a school did a lot wrong. And so the only answer is to say, we value human life so much that you don't get to keep on living if you take a precious human life. It's actually an explicitly pro-life position because it's honoring the dead and honoring the victim so much that it's not just one to be discarded. It's not just a clump of cells. Because they're like, it's just a bunch of clump of cells that got shot up at a school. It doesn't really matter. Go put him in a jail. Where we say, no, that's a life you took, and you don't get to keep on having breath if you go take another precious human life.
And now I'm a woman.
Okay, no, but you don't become a woman just because you dress like a woman. So let me ask you a question. If I wear a disguise or a costume, do I become that thing? For example, if I dress with a sombrero and start talking with a Mexican accent, do I then become that culture?
No, because that's different race.
Okay,
That's
but then wait,
very different.
why? How is it different? Because you're saying that if you dress a certain way and you present a certain way, you can be as you think you are. Why can't I also just choose what culture I am?
Because you are born within a culture, you are born with.
But you were born as a man. So what is a woman?
What is a woman is whatever you want to be.
So anyone can be a woman?
Yeah.
Do you get a period?
No. Well, actually, yes. So, no.
Wow. Can you give birth?
No.
So a woman can be whatever you want it to be. Is that correct?
Yeah, but cis women can also be and have all of those
So
things.
under that logic, can I become a bobcat or a giraffe?
I mean, if you want me to call you a bobcat, sure. I don't
So
care.
at some point, don't you see that it's probably a bad idea to give people the ability to identify whatever they want as just because they feel a certain way?
Why would it be a bad thing?
Well, shouldn't we have some sort of objective truth that male and female differences and distinctions matter?
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20. I've known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like, with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of
and
course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system
Yeah.
in the pursuit of changing your body.
Mm-hmm.
I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis.
Mhm.
Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
I don't like your t-shirt. I'm an immigrant. I don't understand why you would want to deport some of my friends and family who have been working hard in this country.
What's your name, sorry?
I'm Claudio, sir.
Yeah, Claudio. And this is just a thought exercise, but it's very revealing. You are king, and you find out that there are 30 million uninvited people in your country. What do you do with them?
I try to find the most humane way of sending them back to our country. But first of all, I want to say...
That's what we're doing.
Wait.
That's what we're doing. So what country did you emigrate from?
Are you going to, like, discriminate against me?
No, I'm going to do the opposite, actually.
I'm Mexican.
But you came here legally, correct?
I did.
You followed the rules. The people that you know didn't follow the rules.
True.
So I divide America not into Hispanic and white, into rule follower and rule breaker.
Yeah.
And so when someone breaks our rules, there must be justice done. And the most humane way is you go back to your country of origin.
Some of my boys, like, they're being, like, persecuted, like, back home, them and their families, like, they're, like, in, like, drug-related, like, wars and violence. And the only way out is if they escape and they break the American law. But that's the only way they're going to survive.
If that is correct, we have a special asylum status that they could seek legally at a port.
Another question.
Okay.
So, how many phases are in the menstrual cycle? Do you know?
Well, I'm not a woman, so enlighten me.
So there's 4 stages of the menstrual cycle, okay? Ovulation, I'm going to go in order. Menstruation, follicular, ovulation, and the luteal phase. During which of those phases can a woman be pregnant? When can she get pregnant? Which of those phases?
During ovulation.
And luteal, yes. So I already
could
know
tell
the
you
answer
from
to this
experience.
question.
But yeah.
So I know the answer to this question. Have you ever had a menstrual cycle before?
No.
Okay, great. So knowing that, and you just saying, I don't know the phases of the menstrual cycle, which I don't blame you for being, you don't have that. So then, knowing this, you don't know everything about the female reproductive system, how are you going to make legislation to hurt women and women's rights?
Are men allowed to have opinions on abortion?
You can have opinions on abortion, but what I'm saying is, how are these men going to create this legislation?
Got it. So, well, men are allowed to have opinion on moral matters too, right?
Right.
Got it. So if I was a male OBGYN, is it okay for that person to make issues of legislation?
Well, they're educated. They understand. They are
okay.
educated on the female reproductive system, so they can.
So if I don't know everything intimately about the female reproductive system, sit down and shut up, you're a man.
No, that's not what I'm saying. You can have an opinion.
That's kind of what
It's
you're
all
saying.
right if you have an opinion. I'm saying it's not all right if you don't understand how the female reproductive
Okay,
system
so
works.
let's pop quiz. When does heartbeats begin for babies in utero?
Have you ever eaten an egg before? That's yes or no. Have you ever eaten an egg before?
Scrambled, yeah.
Okay, so would that be you scrambled a full chicken?
Well, hold on. You understand that it takes an egg to be fertilized?
Right. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But Your
Yeah.
point,
So-
the whole
so-
point you're making
Well,
is
hold
that
on. So,
a
but no.
baby...
Since we're doing pop quiz on like human development, so when exactly do heart waves begin in utero?
You know that, but you don't know the four
Hold on. No,
cycles.
so tell me when. Tell me when
I
heartbeat.
don't know.
Okay, you don't know.
No.
So wait, hold on. So you're trying to say I know more about the woman reproductive system than you do?
I am a woman, so yes.
Yes. Okay. Well, but the point being is we could both go back and forth of like independent trivial facts when it comes to the woman's reproductive system. But here's something we all know, because God wrote this on the human heart of every individual, as it says in the book of Romans. We know deep down it's wrong to murder a baby.
You're not murdering a baby. It's
Okay.
not a baby.
Okay, well let's play this out. What is it then?
It is an embryo, which is not a baby.
Well, okay, so it's a fertilized embryo.
Correct, which
right.
is not a baby.
So at what point does it become a baby?
When it is born.
Oh.
I don't agree with abortions up to full-term abortions.
Well, hold on, but you said it becomes a baby when it's born.
Yes.
Then why would you have abortion limits before it's born? I thought it's just an embryo. So embryo rights?
No, the embryo rights aren't a
But
thing.
then
because it's not
where
a
would you
person.
draw a line for abortion then, and why, and under what moral standard?
There are medical reasons not
No,
to have
no,
an
no,
abortion
no,
for
that's
full
not the
term.
question. That's
Yes,
not the
it is.
question.
You just asked me why would I not have an abortion full term for medical reasons.
Okay, so at 29 weeks, the baby is nearly fully developed, can recognize the mother's voice, has a heartbeat, has brain waves. Is it okay to abort that baby?
I don't like. It's not okay, but you're gonna say it's okay to have an abortion then. Like, I don't understand what you're trying to say. It's not okay to have an abortion ever. How
Correct.
about like 3
Yes.
weeks in?
Correct. No abortion. Correct.
Why?
Well, because your life started at conception.
It did not, though. It did not.
Well, hold on. So let's play this out. So who are you as an individual? From your skin color to your eye color to your likes, your dislikes, from your temperament to your everything.
I am not an embryo. I'm a person.
Hold on a second. But it started with something called deoxyribonucleic acid. And your own individual DNA started at the point of egg and sperm meeting. That's where your journey started. And so from that point in particular, life begins. Not at birth, not at first words, not at first steps, but when your DNA, which is who you actually are. You are your DNA. Every one of your DNA cells is coded XX or XY. It's coded with all of your unique characteristics and attributes that we believe God individually curated for the rest of your life. That doesn't happen at 8 weeks or 10 weeks. It happens at conception.
What happens if you need a medical abortion? If the mother will die if she does not get an abortion?
So
What's your stance on
the
that?
The only place where medical abortion is necessary is before 20 weeks, which is
What
incredibly
if she
rare.
will die? What if the mother
Hold
will
on a second.
die?
So let's take for example, this is a very important question. Let's say it's 27 weeks, okay? And the mother will die. Why shouldn't, you could agree, why don't we just have the baby delivered by cesarean section? You know what a cesarean section is, right?
Yes.
What is a cesarean
A
section?
C-section?
Yeah, why wouldn't we just put the baby out by C-section instead of terminating it?
Because if the mother will die,
No,
it's not safe
but
to
you,
do that.
You remove the baby.
I understand.
Threat removed.
I know what a C-section
But
is.
it's actually safer than an abortion. So every time they say, this is for you guys, they say, oh, you need to have abortion for medical reasons, respond, then have a C-section.
What if you're not able to have a C-section? What if you are on your deathbed? You need to have an abortion right now.
Well, again, but
And it's illegal. You
guess
can't,
what?
so you have
Actually,
to die.
First and foremost, C-section is safer, C-section is quicker, and a C-section saves both lives. A C-section
The
takes...
baby is already dead, you just said.
No, but even... No. Hold on a second. You're saying if the baby's already dead, then it isn't even an abortion, right? Then you're talking about a removal of a carcass, which is a completely different medical
So
operation.
you're saying that's okay. If you're
Well,
having...
If you're hold on. If you're removing a carcass of a baby, that is not an abortion, by definition.
It's the same process.
No, it's completely different. During an abortion, they actually inject the spinal fluid with cyanide poisoning as the baby squirms and tries to find its mother, and it is gasping for air of life. Have you ever watched an abortion? It is
Have
one
you?
of the... Yeah, actually I have. And I encourage every human being to watch one to know what you are fighting against. Because when you see abortion, you will have your life will be changed. That we allow the massacre of 1.5 million babies a year under the guise of woman reproductive health. We are allowing babies every single year to just say, you know, we're going to discard them. Why? Oh, they're smaller. They're not humans. You're using dehumanizing language saying, oh, it's an embryo. No, that's a baby made in the image of God, deserving of protection.
What do you do with those children once they're born into a bad household?
So now we've transitioned to, like, what do you do with the kids?
Right.
Glad we're past the other part of the argument, okay? What do you do with them? You know there's twice as many people on the adoption waiting list than there are abortions every single year?
And they're still on the list. So you want to send a child into an orphanage?
Well,
Is that what you want for a child? Is that a good life for a child?
No, I'm not advocating that. In fact, I'm advocating to make it easier to be able to adopt, number one. Number two, there's no such thing as an unwanted child. Number three, it is never right to justify the mass elimination or termination of people under the guise of saying they're unwanted. That's how we get Auschwitz. That's how we get the greatest horrors of the 20th century. Those people are unwanted.
So you're comparing abortion to the Holocaust?
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't
It's
think it is.
45 million babies. It's nearly 8 times worse than the Holocaust. What's the moral difference between a small baby in the womb and a grown Jew who was killed at Auschwitz? What's the moral difference? One
of
is
them
older?
Is a person.
What species is the baby in the womb?
It's a human, but
Therefore,
it's an
they should have
embryo.
human rights.
No,
They should have human rights.
I do not agree.
Oh, so small humans, no human rights. Grown humans,
It's
human
not
rights.
a small human. It's an embryo.
You just said it was a human species.
It's not a
It
living
doesn't.
human child.
Wait, it's not a what?
It's not a child.
But-
it's not a living child.
It has a heartbeat. It has
that
brain
does
waves.
not make it a child.
But tell me when it becomes a child then.
I already told you when it is born.
Again, so under every other objective definition, you see guys how quickly the pro-abortion arguments fall apart with just the slightest questioning? But our position is one rooted not in feelings, not in personal autonomy, but one in biological consistency and reality. That your life had an agreed upon starting point, that starting point should be protected and preserved. And the excuses given for abortion is dehumanization. Oh, it's just an embryo. Guys, that's just using different language to justify the massacre of something smaller than you. That's all that it is.